Today I'm talking about the importance of printing your photography. Is that cool? Hey everybody, welcome back to Rusty Brown Photography. I'm Rusty, so glad you guys are here. I've got the coach's clipboard today because I got a couple of points that I want to make sure that I don't miss. And true to form, when I've got my coach's clipboard, whether on the court or here, I tend to stay on my script. So let's get it, right? Today I'm going to be talking about the importance of printing your photography. More specifically, why it's important to me, why I think that printing is amazing, and it's something that I think everybody should be doing. I'm going to talk about how my printing journey has evolved over the years, like when I started printing, how I print now. I'm going to tell you who my printer of choice is. We're going to talk about that a little bit, and then I'm going to show you the process, how I get the images, up to the printer, how you go through that entire process of getting all that stuff done, getting it shipped, and then getting it here. We're going to do a quick unboxing. I'm going to show you the most recent prints that I got in. I'm going to show you the material because you get to, so many different types of prints that you can choose, but I'm going to walk through the one that I like to use. I'm going to talk about how much that costs, what I used to pay, what I pay now, and why I pay what I pay. So let's start off from the top, right? Real simple. To me, printing is important because I don't think there's a greater way to show the work that we are proud of. Okay, so I'm not talking about putting something somewhere for someone else to judge or to grade. I'm talking about your work, or in my case, my work, the things that I'm most proud of. Printing them to me is an act of finality. It's physical. It's something that you can touch and something that you can see. Let's talk about how my journey has evolved over the years, right? When I was growing up, obviously, like I guess most of you, my parents were big into photography. We used to take pictures all the time, and they would take them to the drugstore usually and get 2 prints for the price of 1. More times than not, the pictures weren't that great, and the subjects, at least with my parents, the subject seemed to be a million miles away. But the point I wanted to get across is that looking at pictures and looking at physical photographs has been something that I've been doing for a long time, right? So when I really started getting serious about photography, I started off doing a bunch of 5x7 prints. Like, let me show you these. Can't really show you all these, but this is a 5x7 book that has got to be 20-something years old. I did mark one. I can show a little bit of this one. So this is a book that I have of D, all the pictures that I used to take. But the point is that I was printing these, years ago, 5x7s. I would put them in books. I would put them in other places, and I had other types of books like this, right? I had them for the kids. I would have them for trips. Anything that was cool. I always wanted a print, and I wanted a final, record of it. So I would put them in photo albums. When I started taking photography much more seriously, and I went to school for photography, I started printing a lot of 8x10s. I have a photo quality printer here in my office, and I used to carry this book around with me everywhere. It's a dapper young guy, and he was a little lighter and not any gray back then. But it was important to me to go through the process of printing the stuff that I was shooting, right? And I still have this book to this day, kind of old, but I would basically print 8x10s of all my work, and I would just put them in this book and keep them. They were inspirational. They covered a lot of ground. They helped me to get better at photography, because when I could see them in this size, it made a big difference in terms of how I felt about photography, how I felt about printing. One thing to note when I was doing all this printing at home was, there were paper choices, right? And this is called Epson Exhibition Fiber Paper. It's pricey This is 8 by 10. This is the type of paper that works in my particular printer. And it has something here, and I'm going to talk about this in a little bit on the back. You probably can't see that, but that says signature worthy. That means this is gallery quality paper that you as an artist should be fine putting your signature to. The other paper that I used, I say used because I don't print much at home anymore. This is Epson, 5-star, ultra premium, glossy for when I wanted to get an 8 by 10 glossy. That's what I would use this for. And I still have lots of, so either the 5 by 7 paper, the 8 by 10, or the 8 by 10 exhibition fiber is what I was using at home. Then when I got, again, I started doing that when I was in school, but printing at school was a thing. And when I went to school for photography, your portfolio was physical. You understand what I'm saying? I have mine here. This is what a proper portfolio looked like. It's a bag by Nicole, 100% leather. They still sell these, oddly enough, at B&H. I don't have the shoulder straps on, but it's big and it's heavy. And when you were going to show your work or you were going to get graded, it would be put inside of your portfolio. And the general consensus was if something made it to your portfolio, you were very proud of it. Now, inside of the portfolio was a carrier. Excuse me. This guy, which is magnetized. It's hard, right? And if I open it up, I'll open it this way so you can at least see what's in it. These are prints that I made when I was in college. This one was a theme for, I think it was for the Super Bowl with Bree, where we dressed her up in pads. The glare may be messing this up. We had some eye black. Great time in the studio, but we would print this kind of thing in college. And whenever we were done with our prints, it was important to keep them. There was times when I had this actually posted in school as well, in a gallery. So this black box, and I have several old images in here, but this is magnetized. Let me do it this way. It just clicks, it's hard, and it goes inside of the leather portfolio. That's kind of how the journey got to where we are today. Now, I'm going to put a card right here. I did a YouTube video, I don't know, a couple years ago, I believe, that talked about printing, and I was really excited about this new journey for me. So what I decided to do was, I have a wall in my office here that was dedicated to basketball. I got the fishes swimming. Let me hit that screensaver. Love that Mac. I had a wall that was dedicated to basketball championships, teams, trophies, all kinds of stuff. So I cleared that wall out, and what I talked about in the video that had the card in it was that I asked Dee to paint the wall for me because I was going to turn it into a gallery wall. I'm no good at painting, and she is, and I just wanted a light gray plain wall. That's it, kind of like a gray card you would use in photography. And then my idea for my gallery wall was, at any point in time, I'll have 5 images up on that wall. They can be anything. They can stay for any length of time. It doesn't matter to me if anyone else likes it or not, because rarely does anybody even see it. The idea behind the gallery wall is to show images that I am most proud of, how I shot them, how I captured them, all of that, and to have it here on the wall. So as you can see with this little bit of B-roll, the first iteration of my gallery wall was a bunch of images of shots that I took while I was overseas, between Spain and Italy and other places in Europe. Had a good time with that. Oddly enough, the process I used to get those images on the gallery wall was a little, it was more than I really wanted it to be. I would have to get the images professionally printed. Then I'd have to go to Lowe's, and I had plywood, right? They would cut the wood to the size of the image for me. Then I would come back home, and I had a workbench set up in the garage where I'd have to apply the image to the wood, right, to the plywood, without getting fingerprints on it. It was a little bit messy. It was a bit of a process. But then when I went to hang it on my gallery wall, sometimes that wood is heavy, so I would have to use anchors. And so while I like the way that it ultimately looked, I knew I had to make some changes at that point. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna tell you about my printer of choice, who I use to print my images. It's a company called Whitewall. I'm gonna walk you through their website real quickly and show you how I upload a photo and how we get it printed. All right, here we go. This is the Whitewall website right here, and you can see at the top I'm going to log into my account. That's me up there. As you scroll down through it, it's really, really nicely done, quite professional. They do things on a level like I really couldn't imagine at first. You see over here on the right side where it says wood prints, Forex and more, I just highlighted that. We're going to be talking about that in just a sec. And then if you go down below where you see this gentleman, there's a video. You really want to click on that video and really see how the white glove treatment applies to the different types of imagery that they print, and the vastness of choices that you have, right? Let's take a look at some of my orders here. And so if you look at this, basically you can see that I've been a fan of Whitewall since 2019. That's when I first started doing those prints that I was putting on wood. Now, if you look over here, you see various prices here in this column that I'm highlighting, right? And you may take a look at the one from, 2020 and say, why would 7 images cost $475? And then the ones I just did, 6 images, cost more at $590. Well, let's take a look at the details. If you look at those ones from 2020, I use what's called plastic mounting. And plastic mounting costs significantly less than their other type of mounting. I'm sorry. So if you go back and look at the order I did this past October, here you can see that I use what's called aluminum rails. And I'm going to show you what those look like here in a minute, but they're about 35 to 40 bucks more than no rail. And I wanted to give that a shot this time to really help me with that particular quality. So this is how you actually go through and do it. You upload some photos, and here's the first thing on the configurator. Check this out. You can go up to 2 gigabyte in size. Now, hang on a sec. I want to take just a minute to talk about what that means to me. So right out of the camera, my images are 42 meg. I'm still one of those folks that does frequency separation. I do editing. I have layers galore. I'll have layers for environment, layers for background, layers for furniture, layers for fabric, layers for clothing, layers for hair. In other words, I like doing frequency separation, and my images get quite big. The number one reason that I chose Whitewall is because, one, you can have big images up to 2 gigabytes, but most importantly, I can send them TIFFs that have not been flattened out. So if you can imagine when you're doing frequency separation, you get all those layers like I have. A lot of folks have to take those and flatten them into one file and say, here you go. I don't flatten any of them. So whether I have 3 layers or 13, as long as that file isn't bigger than 2 gigabytes, I can send it as it is, right? As that really, really large TIFF up to Whitewall, and they will process it. And I think that has a significant impact on how good the images look when they come back. So I just wanted to bring that point home. Just upload a photo. I have a couple here that we can work with, right? And then you go to what they call the configurator. Notice right away that it's coming up at 214 bucks. That's because their default is a photo that's on acrylic glass up here on the right. But we're going to change that product because I'm not doing acrylic glass. So when you hit click change product, you see all these choices. I go over to this more area, and then you get to see these last 3. I like this print on Forex. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. Immediately, notice how that price went down to 95 bucks. It can still be lower based on what we had talked about before. If you go over here to the hanging hardware section, like I talked about a minute ago, and you choose to have no hanging, this is what the rails look like, by the way. But if you choose no hanging, you select that, and then you apply the changes on the bottom right. Now, that same print is 65 bucks. Going from beginning to end, 5 years ago, I was paying about 20 bucks an image just for the image itself. Then I started doing the $65 ones. I'm going to show you what those look like here in a moment, with no rails. And then when I added rails on this most recent order, keep in mind, What I just showed you there, that last order was done in October of 2023. I knew that I would be upgrading the gallery wall. I just didn't know when, which is what I'm doing now in 2024. Let's take a look and do a quick unboxing. As you can see here, Whitewall is headquartered in Germany, and you know your products literally come to you from Germany. And then if you look on this side of the box, you can see I have a snapshot of of the nomenclatures. They tell you how many images you have. Like in this case, you can see I had a total of 6. This is 1 of 1, meaning that there's only one image in the box. And then over on the top right, where it says 1 of 4, that means that there were 4 boxes which did arrive. And as you can see, those all came, back in October of 2023. So this is what the boxes look like. They come heavily banded. You see the orange fragile sticker at the top. It tells them which way that the box has to stand up. It's a very heavily packaged box. You open it up, you can see that the image is face down, the rails are on the back. It is bubble wrapped. Every image is bubble wrapped. It has the Whitewall seal of quality. So before I show you the images that were printed that we just opened up, here's a look at the gallery wall that I just took down. So if you take a look here, another 5 images. This was the most recent gallery wall. I call this the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Each of these 5 gents are extremely important to me for different reasons, and they've actually been on the gallery wall probably the longest. And sometimes I have something on the wall, for a couple of months. Other times I have it on there for over a year, as was the case there. So Forex is like, it's kind of like cardboard. This one, by the way, is about 4 years old and still just as good. I don't know if the studio lights are going to be reflective. They shouldn't be. One of the things I like about Forex is it's a matte finish. No matter where I am in the office, as I walk around, there's never any glare, which you'll be able to see. Hopefully you saw that with the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And I'm going to show you a little B-roll here of a moment of the new images. This one was part of a set that was on the gallery wall prior to the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But Forex, and the reason I talk about signature worthy is I personally signed, I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of, there it is. I personally signed the back of every image. I was doing it on the prints from college. I do it right now. This Forex is really, really, it's lightweight, it's minimalistic. There's not a whole lot you have to do with it. One of the things that I talked about too was when you look at it, the fact that, I do frequency separation on the edits means that in the image itself, the textures of Mo's hat, his beard, his jacket, the fibers in the sweater, all of that comes out in the print the same way it does on the monitor. Now, I've got 4 monitors in here, but only this one back here is a BenQ reference monitor. It's made for photography and video. It's calibrated, right? And if you've ever had this situation, I know I have before, where something looks right on the monitor, and then you get the print and it has a color cast or a hue or something like that, that can be frustrating. What Whitewall does is whatever comes up on the BenQ is exactly what I get in the print. We talked about this before too. I don't know if it's going to show, it probably won't, but this is what it looks like when you don't do the rails. It has these little things that stick on the back. The adhesive is super strong. You hang those up and you're good to go. This is the one when I told you about is about 35, 40 bucks cheaper than the other. Again, the first one I showed you was 4 years old. This one is about 2 years old. No fingerprints, no nothing. It's lightweight. Fun fact, Whitewall considers Forex their entry level because a lot of stuff they have is just super pricey. But for my gallery wall, again, which is why I print, it's really, really good. I want to show you this. This is an image that came in that actually has the rails on it. And in some cases, like this one, depending on the size, you will get 4. At a minimum, you get a top and a bottom. If it's long enough, you get 4. So this is not just one simple rail that goes across the top. It serves 2 purposes. One, to hang like that. But secondly, because of the depth of the rails, this guy will sit on the wall perfectly, even with the rails. This is really lightweight. This is what the final images look like. These are the ones that we just opened up. This is part of a series that I'm doing called Jeans. I'll be explaining more about jeans later this year. But a simple 5 images. If you notice, the one in the middle with the green background, that's actually my wife Dee. She was the first in the series, and that image alone is over 20 years old, right? That's how long I've been working on this idea about jeans. And you know, the fact that I think this really speaks to what photography is, right? Like that thing is like I was talking about with the stuff that I had in the 5x7 book. You know, it's old. I wasn't shooting RAW. I didn't have a DSLR, but I was so proud of the image. And even today, some 20-something years later, I can print that. And most of my prints, by the way, in size are about 16 by 20, 16 by 24. It really depends on, you know, which one you get. Sometimes 16 by 19, like this one. It varies in size, but to be able to have, you know, D in that first set that's going on the wall of jeans is really quite cool. So I've got images on this gallery wall that run the gamut from, you know, over 20 years ago into some that were just shot last year. So that's what I wanted to talk about, why printing is important to me. I feel that a lot of us, me included, spend a ton of money on gear. We spend a ton of time on setting up shoots, on doing edits. And if you do frequency separation like me, that takes a lot of time too. The coordination that you do for your photography jobs, the amount of energy that you put into everything you do. I just struggle with the fact that so many people do all of those things only to take a really good image and, you know, put it on an application that's going to squish it into the form of a phone that is going to compress it, and in some cases cause you to lose some of the things that make your wonderful photography wonderful in the first place. I got nothing against that. You know, I promised I wasn't going to turn this into a rant against Instagram, and I won't. But I just think that when you put all that time, energy, effort, money, sweat equity, and things of that nature into your work, when you print them, it's amazing. There are times, no fooling, no matter what I have on the gallery wall, that I just sit here and look at it. I just look at it. It's my work. I'm proud of it. I don't have to be doing anything, you know, photography related. I can be in here just doing an email, but sometimes I look up at that wall and it's impressive. It's one of the few times that I get to say, wow, I'm really proud of what I do. And I didn't talk about this, but this little white remote, this little guy is a remote control. If you looked at what I was showing the B-roll of the gallery wall, each image has a gold light above it. This controls that. You can control the brightness, the intensity. I can do one, I can do all 5. So in some cases when I'm just admiring my work, I can have those gallery lights on and it looks so cool. So if you get a chance, you know, hit the comments and let me know, is printing important to you? Was it at one time and it's not anymore? Is it something that you think about doing? Not everybody's willing to spend $100 an image to print. I get that. But the guarantee from Whitewall minimum is 75 years. And again, like I said, I may not keep the rail look, although I do like it here. If I go back to the non-rail look for 65 bucks, that's my sweet spot right now. That's the way I've been printing for the last few years, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. So I hope that this was insightful a little bit for you, and hopefully it helped you if you've been thinking about doing some printing. I look forward to talking to you guys throughout 2024 with a couple of key things that I'm working on. Until then, be good, take care, bye now.